Ethan was one of those guys everyone said had potential. Smart, creative, full of ideas. But his mind was never quiet. The moment he sat down to study, his phone would buzz. A notification, a reel, a message. Minutes turned into hours. He'd open his laptop to do homework and end up binge-watching YouTube. At night, his thoughts wouldn't stop. Past mistakes, imaginary arguments, random fears. Ethan wasn't lazy, just mentally scattered. He wanted to focus. He wanted to improve. But no matter how hard he tried, his thoughts pulled him away. He hated the feeling of always being behind, like life was moving forward while he stayed stuck in the same loop. He craved clarity, but didn't know how to get there. Everyone else seemed focused, driven, consistent. But for Ethan, every day was a mental battlefield, and all he had was a brain that refused to shut up. Things started falling apart. Ethan's grades slipped. His confidence tanked. His parents noticed he always looked tired and zoned out. His teachers described him as capable but distracted. Ethan felt stuck, like no matter how hard he pushed, he just couldn't get his focus to stick. One afternoon, after a long, draining school day, he sat in the park scrolling endlessly on his phone. That's when his older brother Nate showed up. Nate had been through his own mental battles, anxiety, burnout, overwhelm. But now he was grounded, calm, focused. Ethan looked up at him and asked, almost out of desperation, "How do you do it? How do you stay so clear-headed all the time?" It wasn't just a question, it was a cry for help. Nate smiled and sat down beside him. "You're not weak," he said. "You're just untrained. The mind is like a wild horse. If you don't know how to ride it, it'll drag you all over the place. But once you take control, it becomes your most powerful weapon." Ethan laughed. "Sounds cool, but impossible." Nate nodded. "I used to think that too. Then I tried one simple habit." He pulled a plain notebook out of his backpack. Nothing fancy, just a regular notebook. "This changed everything for me," he said. Ethan looked at it, confused. "A notebook?" Nate nodded. "It's my thought tracker. Every time a random or anxious thought hits, I write it down. No filters, no judgment, just awareness. That's how I learned to see what my mind was doing and take control." That same night, Ethan decided to try it. Every time his mind wandered, he wrote the thought down. "I might fail my test. What do people think of me? I want to scroll Instagram again." It felt silly at first, but after a few days, he started seeing patterns, the same fears, the same distractions. His brain was running in circles. A week later, he began writing a response next to each thought. "Even if I fail, I'll learn. I don't need approval. I'll check my phone after work." Slowly, his brain started calming down. Writing didn't stop the thoughts, but it gave him a way to face them instead of being controlled by them. For the first time, Ethan felt like he had a grip on his mind, and that changed everything. By the end of the month, Ethan had changed. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but clearly. He could now sit and focus for 45 minutes straight. He wasn't constantly grabbing his phone. He started reading again. His sleep improved. His teachers noticed. His parents were shocked. But most importantly, he felt proud. Not because he was suddenly a genius, but because he was finally present. He wasn't drowning in noise anymore. He had space, focus, direction. Want the same shift? Start with one notebook. Write down your thoughts. Build awareness. The path to focus begins with seeing your mind clearly, and it starts today. One day in class, the teacher asked, What's the most important skill in today's world? Some students said coding. Others said creativity. Ethan raised his hand. The ability to control your attention, he said. The room went quiet. The teacher smiled. After class, a few students came up to him, curious. What did you mean by that? Ethan pulled out the same plain notebook. I started writing my thoughts down. That's it. That's where it started. It wasn't a fancy app or some secret hack, just consistent reflection. That notebook helped him see his mental patterns and shift from reaction to awareness. It was simple, but it worked. Months passed. The notebook became a journal. The journal turned into a blog. Ethan began sharing tips on managing distractions, calming anxiety, and building real focus. People connected with it, not because he was perfect, but because he was honest. One of his posts, titled 30 Minutes of Mental Silence, went viral. His follower count exploded. He started getting invited to speak at schools and youth events. The same kid who once couldn't focus for 5 minutes was now helping others gain control of their own minds. He wasn't preaching. He was sharing what worked, step by step. And in a noisy, hyper-distracted world, that made all the difference. Years later, Ethan would say this at every talk he gave. You don't need to be smarter. You need to be clearer. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your focus. He wasn't chasing perfection. He was living with intention. His message stayed the same. Focus is a skill, not a gift. And the best part? Anyone can train it. He'd often ask audiences, if you had 1 hour of pure attention each day, what would you change first? People would pause. Some said relationships. Others said school, career, health. That one question made them think. Because the truth is, focus doesn't just change your productivity, it changes your life. Ethan's story proves something simple but powerful. Success doesn't come from big, dramatic moments. It comes from tiny, consistent steps. Writing one thought, redirecting one impulse, showing up day after day. Focus doesn't wait for motivation. It's built through practice, like brushing your mental teeth. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it works. What changed Ethan wasn't the notebook itself. It was the habit behind it. Focus is a mental muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with repetition. You don't need to be special. You just need to start. Today, for 30 minutes. That's all it takes to shift the course of your day and your future. Now it's your turn. If your mind feels like a browser with 50 tabs open and nothing loading, you're not alone. But remember this, your greatest tool is your mind. And with practice, you can train it. You don't need a new app or a perfect setup. You just need commitment. Start with 30 minutes a day. Write down your thoughts. Build that awareness. Clarity will follow. Now here's the question. If you woke up tomorrow with a calm, focused mind, what's the very first decision you'd make? Drop it in the comments. Your answer might reveal more than you think.